on here, Oregon, Washington State. Gosh, we are all over. I love it. From cold Raleigh, Hawaii. Oh, I bet it's nice and warm there. Yes. Puerto Rico, Mesa, Long Island, Vancouver. Oh my goodness. So many great places. Thanks for hopping on, guys. We're going to be getting started here momentarily. Toronto, Canada. All right.
Perfect.
I love it.
You are, Trish.
All right. Well, take it away, Muzafer.
Can you do me a favor and monitor the people that are joining and allow them in? Because it's...
Yep, absolutely.
Fantastic. Welcome. Happy New Year again. It's still a new year. And I want to welcome each and every one of you. And listen, tonight, I want to spend some time with you because it's the beginning of the new year. And you know, as I was preparing for tonight, I wanted to think about not only you, myself. One of the things that I've always worked on is growth and development, right? And there's a book that impacted me when it came to growth and development, and I'll tell you the name of the book in a little bit, but I'm going to give you 8 things here in just a moment. I hope you guys have a notepad and a pen, but I want to talk about growing, like realistically, because in order for things to be different, you guys have heard me say this before, right? If you continue to do what you've always done, you'll continue to get what you've always gotten. So for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. And for things in your life to change, your thoughts have to change. And it's funny to see Monday nights, sometimes they're bigger, sometimes Tuesday nights, sometimes it's a bigger call, sometimes it's a smaller call. And I just want you guys to know, one of the things that I learned and I read was working hard doesn't guarantee success, right? Number 1, working hard doesn't guarantee success. Number 2, hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. I just want to put that out there. So the questions always become, do you have a plan for your growth? Like, do you have a plan? Like, one of the things that I was taught a long time ago, that nobody, like if I asked you, do you plan on failing? Everybody would go, well, no, that's kind of dumb, right? So, but if you fail to plan, you're basically planning on failing, right? Like, it sounds kind of crazy and a play on words, but it's not. It's the truth. If we fail to plan, we're basically planning on failing, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But there are people that have dreams and goals and aspirations and you know, so I did this thing where we talked about, you know, having a vision board. Like, we talked about this, starting the new year out right and all of that type of stuff. But in order for us to achieve the things that we all want, we've got to grow. Like, we can't be the same person we were in 2021 wanting a different life in 2022. You can't be the same person and get that. Right. So if you're like most people, you know, we've all made, you know, this mistaken belief, you know, that creates a gap that keeps us from growing to reach our potential, that we can, this mistaken belief is that we can stay the same. Like, I just got to work harder. Like, I can be the same person and just work harder, but that's a mistake. And sometimes, you know, I was, there's a book, it's not the one that I'm talking about right now, which, don't worry, I promise at the end of this, I'll give you the name of the book, but there's a different book that's called The Power of Positive Thinking. And it talks, one of my favorite quotes in that book is the fact that people would rather go through being told that things are great, like being praised, and they will go through pain because of constantly being told everything is okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, instead of going through the coaching, which is harder and tougher, that can help them grow. Most people want to hear what they want to hear. And anyways, so let me tell you, there's 8 misconceptions about growth. And I think it holds a lot of people back from becoming successful. There's 8 misconceptions, right? And it literally, it'll hold you back from being as intentional as you need to be in order to succeed. So I hope you guys have a notepad and pen. Number 1 is the assumption gap. I assume that I will automatically grow. Like, so many people think that just because you're around stuff, you'll automatically grow. Like, when we're children, our bodies grow automatically. A year goes by and we become taller. Like, I'm looking at Carla Munkel's little beautiful girl, right? And as time goes by, she's going to grow and become stronger and more capable of doing new things and facing new challenges. But many people carry that into adulthood, like a subconscious belief that mental, spiritual, emotional growth follows a similar pattern. Just because we grew physically without having to do it, we tend to think that mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that as time goes on, we're also going to grow. And that's not the fact. The problem is that we don't improve by simply living. Like, it doesn't happen. We have to be intentional about it, right? So I'm going to tell you, like whether you guys like this type of music or not, but there's a guy named Bruce Springsteen that commented, a time comes when you need to stop waiting for the man or woman you want to become and start being the man or woman you want to be. No one improves by accident. Personal growth doesn't just happen on its own. If you want your life to improve, you must improve it by yourself. So number 1, I assume that I will automatically grow is a misconception. You have to be intentional about it. That's number 1. Number 2 is, so number 1 was the assumption gap. Number 2 is the knowledge gap. People go, I don't know how to grow, Muzafer. Like, I don't know how to grow. And no one's ever been given a growth plan. Like, they just don't have a growth plan. They don't know how to grow. Nobody in my world had a plan for me to grow and improve. Like, it's not something that's talked about in most households, right? And so if you are clear with what you want, the world will respond with clarity. Now, many people learn only from the school of hard knocks, right? Like I used to say that all the time. I learned from the school of hard knocks. I used to say that people have a master's in business administration, an MBA. And I said I had an MBE, a master's in business experience, an MBE. But you got to understand that, yes, difficult experiences teach lessons the hard way. And they change sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worse. The lessons are random and difficult. It's much better to plan your growth with intentionality. Like, not intentional, like intentionally. Like, you decide where you need and want to grow. You choose what you want to learn and follow through with discipline, right? It's one of the reasons why I tell people, right, be intentional about everything that you do. Be intentional about this year. Okay, so number 1, right? Number 1, if you're writing this down, was the assumption gap. Number 2 was the knowledge gap. I don't know how to grow. Number 3 is the timing gap. That's number 3. It's not the right time for me to begin. Most people wait till the new year. It is the new year, and people still don't know if it's the right time. So many of you may have heard this before. Maybe you haven't heard this before, but 5 frogs are sitting on a log. Right? 5 frogs are sitting on a log. 4 decide to jump. How many are left? And most people sit there and go, well, 1. And I got to say that I said that too. But no, actually 5. Why? Because they were all just deciding. Nobody was doing. Like, nobody, I said they decide to jump. Nobody jumped. They decide to jump, right? And that's the thing is they're thinking about it. Like, they're deciding. They haven't done it, right? So many of you are deciding to grow, deciding to become successful, deciding to recruit somebody, deciding to present. You're deciding to find a customer. I'm going to make a decision to go to Playbook. But it's the flight book, it's the hotel book. Are you doing? There's a big difference, right? There's a big difference. And I just want you to know that most people don't act as quickly as they should on things. They find themselves like this subject to the law of diminishing intent, which says the longer you wait to do something you should do now, the greater the odds that you will never actually do it. I'll say it again. The longer you wait to do something you should do now, the greater the odds that you will never actually do it. So many people started this call going, I should get a pen and paper. And we're already 12 minutes into the call and they still haven't done it yet. The longer you wait, the more it's less likely that you're ever going to do it. As I just want you to know that making this decision on doing something, doing a presentation, setting up a launch, setting up a point, like actually doing the work. That's one of the reasons why I like the power hour that happens every week, because we try to put activities into motion. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people that would sit there and say, yeah, I'm going to do it. So funny, a really good friend of mine is on, and he's a personal trainer out in New York. And I can't tell you how many times he's probably had clients that said, yeah, I'm going to start working out with you. Like I'm going to start it. And they're making this decision in their mind. You know, so many people do that with business. You know, I'm going to listen, please. The best time to start is right now, literally on Tuesday, like right now, or whenever you're listening to this recording. Anyways, that was number 3. Number 4 is the mistake gap, right? So as you guys know, I repeat things on purpose, right? Because repetition is the mother of all learning. Number 1 was the assumption gap. Number 2 was the knowledge gap. Number 3 was the timing gap. Number 4 is the mistake gap. I'm afraid of making mistakes. Do you know how many people don't do anything because they want it to be perfect, or they don't do anything for fear of failing? Right? Growing can be messy, guys. It can be messy. It means admitting you don't have the answers. Look, if you see Carla's beautiful little girl, I'm going to tell you right now that when she starts to eat, she's going to make a mess. She'll make a mess, right? Like when my daughter started to learn how to eat, they made a mess. It's just part of it, right? But the fact is that there comes a point in our life where you admit you don't have all the answers. It requires making mistakes. It can make you look foolish, right? Like I've made so many mistakes in presentations, and most of us as human beings will avoid pain and seek pleasure. Like that's just how it is. Most people don't enjoy looking foolish. Like we don't. So many people want it to be perfect. But it's the price of admission if you want to improve. The mistakes, the looking foolish, the doing a presentation and you open the salt and oil scrub and oil gets all over yourself. Right? Like I'm just telling you, you know, putting the M4 on and forgetting that it was the M4 and trying to wipe it off with water and it smears. Most people, you know, we've taught so many people how to do it right that you guys haven't gone through that one. But I just want you guys to realize that listen, if you want to grow, you need to get over the fear you may have of making mistakes. You have to. If you want to grow, a mistake is simply another way of doing things. Like to become intentional about growing, expect to make mistakes every day and welcome them as a sign that you're moving in the right direction. welcome them as a sign that you're moving in the right direction. That's number 4. Right? Number 5 is the perfection gap. I have to find the best way before I start. The best way. Like there's so many people that are waiting for the best PowerPoint, like the best way. It's similar to the mistake gap is the perfection gap, the desire to find the best way to get started. But like when I look at this, I went looking for the best way, but what I discovered is I had it backwards. I had to get started if I wanted to find the best way. It's similar to driving on unfamiliar road at night. Ideally, you like to be able to see the whole route before you begin, but you only see it progressively. As you move forward, a little more of the road is revealed. If you want to see more of the road, you just keep moving forward, especially if you've never been there. It's number 5. Stop thinking that it has to be perfect. Go for it. Number 6, the inspiration gap. I don't feel like doing it. I can't even tell you how many people, like I meet people that are great at getting customers and they don't feel like recruiting. I meet people that are great at recruiting and they don't feel like getting customers. They don't feel like it. You know, the author of this book wrote that I flipped through a medical journal and found the following text, which has become one of my favorite examples of inertia, of motivation. And by the way, this was before Nike coined the phrase, but just do it. Okay, so listen to this. We hear it almost every day. I just can't get myself motivated to lose weight, test my blood sugar, like example. And we hear an equal number of sighs from diabetes educators who can't get their patients motivated to do the right things for their diabetes and health. We have news for you. Motivation is not going to strike you like lightning. And motivation is not something that someone else, nurse, doctor, family member, can bestow or force on you. The whole idea of motivation is a trap. Forget motivation and just do it, right? So this thing was written. Exercise, lose weight, test your blood sugar, whatever. Just do it without motivation. Then guess what? After you start doing the thing, that's when motivation comes and makes it easy for you to keep doing it. Once you do it, that's when motivation will make it easier for you to keep doing it. Motivation is like love and happiness. It's a byproduct. When you're actively engaged in doing something, it sneaks up on you and zaps you when you least expect it. You're more likely to act yourself into feeling than feel yourself into action. Look, I can't take credit for that one. That's a Harvard psychologist. I love this. His name is Jerome Bruner. Let me say it again. I hope you write it down. You're more likely to act yourself into feeling than feel yourself into action. I'm gonna say it again. I love this quote, right? You're more likely to act yourself into feeling than feel yourself into action. You're more likely to act yourself into feeling than feel yourself into action. So act. Whatever it is you know you should do, just do it. I need to be intentional about growing. Right? He said, this author said, I had thousands of reasons not to do it. I didn't have the time, the money, the experience, and so on. So many people feel that way about network marketing. They don't have the time, the money, the experience, and so on. I only had one reason to do it. I believed I should do it because I hoped it would make a difference. Oh my God. I hope that everyone on here heard that and follows it. Like, I only had one reason to do it. I believed I should do it because I hoped it would make a difference. To my astonishment, after a year of dedicated growth, I started to pass some of my heroes. My reason for putting in the work changed from getting started to staying with it. That's what's going to happen for everyone. I promise you. There's going to be this change from getting started to staying with it, because it's going to make a difference. And then after that, you're not going to want to miss a single day. And it's one of the things that I hope all of you make this intentional decision to be at our 4 major trainings per year, like per year. Because once you realize that it makes a difference, like a call like this, I hope this call is making a difference for you. Once you realize this is making a difference, I hope you go, I never want to miss a Tuesday night again. And I want to make sure my team never misses it. You may not feel inspired to aggressively pursue a growth plan if you haven't started yet. And that's normal. When people haven't started, it's hard to aggressively pursue it. If that's the case, please trust me when I say that the reasons to keep growing far outweigh the reasons to start growing. So to keep growing, those reasons outweigh to start. And you discover the reasons to stay with growth only if you stick with it long enough to start reaping the benefits. So make a commitment to yourself and start and stick with it for at least 12 months. All I'm asking you is 2022, stick with it. If you do, you'll fall in love with the process, and you'll be able to look back at the end of the year and see how far you've come. That's number 6. I'm only going to 8. Number 7 is the comparison gap. Everyone on here is guilty of others are better than I am. The comparison gap. Now, me personally, like, I remember like always looking at other people and going, oh my God, how does he do that? Like, how does he remember all that stuff? Like, how does he, I could never be like that. Like, I used to compare myself to the people in front of the room. Like, we used to work out of an office, and we would do presentations every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Saturday. So what we did is that we had these offices, and everybody would pay a little bit of desk rent, and that would cover the cost of the office. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we had presentations at 7:30 at night. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we had an afternoon presentation at 1. Saturdays, we had a presentation at 11 a.m. and then we would do a Saturday training after that. And I remember all the top income earners that were making 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 a month. Like, I couldn't even imagine that. Like it wasn't even in my realm of understanding. But I remember they would do presentations, and I used to sit there and say, like, gosh, I could never be them. Like, I don't know how they know all this stuff. Like, how do they do it? Like, I don't look like them. I don't dress like them. I don't have the money that they do. I can't remember things like they do. Oh my God, he's a good presenter. Wow, she tells great jokes. Wow, this, the fact is, ladies and gentlemen, is that I used to compare myself, like I really did. And over time, I just understood that I needed to be exposed to like bigger and better leaders outside of my own small circle. Like I loved my friends, but it was the people that I started looking at, and at first I was intimidated. And then I sat back and I just started to realize that I can't compare myself to them. The only way that I'm going to intentionally grow is if I compare myself to me yesterday. Did I become better today than yesterday? Now, I learned from their ideas. Like I would take notes, like on calls like this and trainings, and go into playbook, and I would sit there and take notes and take notes and take notes, and I would learn from it. And I pursued personal development, and I felt like I was always behind trying to catch up. But the one thing that I had to do is I had to get over this comparison gap and stop comparing myself to others and start focusing on me compared to me, taking their information and making myself better. and just pushing myself out of a comfort zone. It was hard. Like, it was hard, but it was worth it. Like, it really was for me. Number 8, this is the last one for right now, the expectation gap. The expectation gap is number 8. I thought it would be easier than this. Listen, I got started in network marketing, and they told me, if you bring 5 and they bring 5 and they bring 5 and they bring 5, you're done. Like, I thought I was going to be rich my first week, because I did the math, right? If I bring 5 and then they bring 5, then I got 25 people in my team, right? My second level. If they bring 5, I got 125. If they bring 5, I've got 625. If they bring 5, I've got 3,125 people. Like, I sat there and said, oh my God, I'm going to be driving a Ferrari after my first week of doing network marketing. Like my expectation level, oh my gosh. I don't know of anybody that's successful who didn't think it was going to come easier. Like a lot of people did. Like, they thought it was, but then they realized that growth doesn't come quickly. It just doesn't. It just doesn't happen. And there is no luck. Luck is spelled W-O-R-K. We create our own luck, ladies and gentlemen. Preparation plus attitude plus opportunity plus action equals luck. Preparation plus attitude plus opportunity plus action equals luck. Preparation, attitude, opportunity, action. It all starts with preparation. Unfortunately, that takes time. But here's the best news. This is Jim Rohn's quote. You cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. If you want to reach your goals and fulfill your potential, become intentional about personal growth, and it will change your life. Become intentional about it. I wanted you guys to know this, because starting this new year out right, I didn't want you to have this misconception about growth. The moral of the story is, be intentional about your growth. And your growth will lead to more success and more results. And be grateful for every step of the way. Because if you're grateful for every step of the way, then happiness will come from growing. And if you're happy when you grow, that almost reminded me of the song, If You're Happy and You Know. But anyways, if you're happy, sorry, I may have ruined the moment at that moment, but I can't help myself sometimes. My brain goes in directions. But if you're happy when you grow, now we're always going to think of that, right? But if you are, seriously, if you're happy when you grow, the speed at which you grow will increase. Write that down. If you're happy when you grow, the speed at which you will grow will increase. I love spending time with everyone on these Tuesday all agent calls. Like, we used to do a different call, but I think this was a great move, and it's a great way to start the week. So let me tell you something. Be intentional about your growth this week. Be intentional about taking action. Be intentional about doing. Don't be a frog that's deciding. Jump. Do something this week that you didn't do last week. Take action. Write down what you're going to do and do it. Be intentional about it. Like, be intentional about it and watch what happens. And I hope that all of you are intentional about being in that playbook, because it's going to be a phenomenal training. I will definitely be there. I'm grateful that they asked me to be one of the trainers and speakers. My goal is to add value to everyone's life there. But I just want you guys to know that I'm so grateful for you. You make me a better leader. And I thank you for that. I thank you for that. And I hope tonight added value for all of you and anyone that's watching the recording. I hope you enjoy it. For that, I want to say that the book was by John Maxwell, and it's the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And this was the book that I thought about when I was thinking about today and the timing of where we are right now and what we can do as a group. But I'm here to let you know that there's some major things coming at Playbook that I promise will change your life and your business. Look, I can't make everybody stay with Seacret. My really good dear friend Ron Walden said, don't leave before the miracle happens. And there are people that always will, and there are people that won't. And I pray that all of us are in the picture this year, and we're in the picture next year. And if you've ever heard me say that, it's when we take a picture together, I always tell people, be in the next one with me, be in the next picture with me. And so I hope to be in the next picture with you. Have a great Tuesday night. Go add value to somebody's life. Be intentional with what you do this week. Be better this week than you were last week. Have a great night, everyone. Much love. God bless.